Think you've played some tough games? Well, today we're taking it up a notch with the top 12 hardest games in history. Prepare yourself for frustration, challenge, and a whole lot of perseverance. From nail-biting platformers to relentless boss battles, these games push even the most seasoned players to their limits. Let's dive into the madness. Kicking off at number 12 is Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. You control a man in a cauldron climbing a mountain with a hammer. Sounds simple, right? Oh, how wrong you are. One wrong move and you'll find yourself falling all the way back, forcing you to start over. I'm talking about losing hours of progress in the blink of an eye. Imagine spending an entire evening scaling a cliff, only to miss one swing and plummet back to where you started. This game is literally a test of patience and sanity. You think you've got what it takes? I've seen seasoned gamers lose their cool over this one. Don't say I didn't warn you. If a guy in a cauldron made you feel helpless, wait till you try to keep a team alive in a dungeon. At number 11, we have Darkest Dungeon. In this dark RPG, you lead a group of adventurers through dungeons where they face stress, death, and the constant threat of going insane. Trust me, it's not your typical walk in the park. I mean, picture this. You've got a team of 4 brave souls all ready to conquer whatever creepy crawly comes their way. Suddenly your healer decides they can't handle the pressure anymore and has a full-on meltdown. Then your tank starts hallucinating about tentacles. Nothing says fun like having your entire party break down mid-battle, right? The game's stress mechanic really knows how to keep you on your toes, or more accurately, on the edge of your seat. I remember one time I thought I had everything under control. My team was stacked with all the best gear and spells, but then the stress meter hit critical levels and it all went downhill faster than you can say abandoned quest. If you've ever wondered what it feels like to be a medieval HR manager dealing with burnout cases, Darkest Dungeon has got you covered. Now let's lighten the mood with Cuphead. Number 10 is the retro-inspired Cuphead. It's beautiful 1930s cartoon art style. Don't let the visuals fool you. This game's boss fights are a brutal test of reflexes and skill. Seriously, it's like stepping into an old-timey cartoon, but instead of enjoying the show, you're desperately trying to dodge every single attack thrown at you. I remember my first encounter with one of those bosses. I thought, how hard can it be? Famous last words. The moment the fight started, I was bombarded with more projectiles than I could count. Every time I thought I had the pattern down, bam, another surprise attack out of nowhere. Trust me, you'll be seeing red in more ways than one, not just from the intense colors on screen, but from your own rising frustration. Picture this, you've been at it for hours, your hands are sweaty, and just when you're about to land the final hit, poof, you're back to square one. Rage quit? Yeah, I've been there. But honestly, despite all the frustration, there's something incredibly satisfying about finally defeating a boss in Cuphead. It's like conquering a mountain, or in this case, a very angry flower with boxing gloves. Let's go from classic cartoons to space roguelikes. Number 9 is Returnal. This PS5 roguelike shooter has you constantly restarting from scratch with each death. It's intense, unpredictable, and unforgiving. Imagine waking up on an alien planet armed with nothing but a blaster and a whole lot of hope. Every time you die, you get sent back to the very beginning, and the world around you changes. The enemies? They're not just chilling, waiting for you to come back. They evolve too. I can't count how many times I've thought, okay, this time I've got it, only to be vaporized by some alien creature I didn't even see coming. It's like the game senses your confidence and just crushes it. You'll feel like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day, except with aliens trying to kill you at every turn. Just when you think you've figured out the patterns, bam! You're hit with something completely unexpected. The moment you start getting comfortable, the game pulls the rug out from under you. And those biomes, they're no picnic either. From dense forest to eerie underwater ruins, each environment has its own set of horrors. But there's something oddly addictive about Returnal. Maybe it's the adrenaline rush of narrowly escaping death, or the satisfaction of finally taking down that boss who's been wrecking your life for hours. Next up, a game where timing is everything. At number 8, we have Furi. This game is all about boss battles, each one demanding precision and patience as you learn every move of your opponent. I mean, imagine walking into an arena where the only way out is through some of the most relentless foes you've ever faced. You can't just hack and slash your way to victory here. Every attack has to be timed perfectly. You'll need Jedi reflexes to make it through these fights. Seriously, I found myself channeling my inner Luke Skywalker, trying to parry blows with laser-like accuracy. There's no room for error. One slip and you're toast. The first time I faced a boss in Furi, I thought I had it all figured out, but nope, I got schooled so hard, I felt like a Padawan again. You think you've dodged an attack? Think again. The game's all about quick reactions and reading your opponent like a book that keeps rewriting itself. From fierce bosses to the treacherous world of Hollow Nest. Number 7 goes to Hollow Knight. This Metroidvania is filled with challenging enemies, intricate platforming, and traps that keep players on edge in the dark, mysterious world of Hollow Nest. Picture yourself as a tiny knight exploring a vast, interconnected world, only to be ambushed by a swarm of hostile bugs or find yourself plummeting into an abyss because you mistimed a jump. The first time I stumbled into Deep Nest, I thought I'd seen it all. Oh boy, was I wrong. Imagine traversing through narrow tunnels with creepy crawlies lurking in the shadows. It's like a haunted house, but with more spikes and fewer friendly ghosts. But it's not all doom and gloom. The art style is absolutely stunning. It's like Tim Burton and Studio Ghibli had a beautifully nightmarish baby. Each area is so meticulously crafted, you can't help but marvel at the eerie beauty right before something sharp tries to impale you. It's beautiful, it's brutal, and it will keep you coming back for more. I mean, who wouldn't want to keep banging their head against the wall in hopes of finally mastering that one boss fight? Trust me, when you do land that perfect parry and take down a particularly tough enemy, the sense of accomplishment is unparalleled. Speaking of brutal, let's head over to Yharnam. At number 6, it's Bloodborne. Set in a dark, gothic world, this From Software game is known for its aggressive combat, deadly bosses, and relentlessly challenging gameplay. You think you've faced tough enemies before? Wait until you meet the nightmarish creatures lurking in Yharnam. Imagine wandering through a fog-drenched city, every shadow hiding something that wants to tear you apart. Your heart pounds as you clutch your weapon, ready for the next ambush. I remember my first encounter with Father Gascoigne. It was like trying to dance with a tornado, chaotic and unforgiving. Get ready to embrace your inner rage or your inevitable demise. The number of times I've yelled at my screen playing Bloodborne is too high to count. You see, in Bloodborne, it's not just about surviving, it's about learning from every brutal defeat. And trust me, there will be many, but here's the kicker. Once you finally slay that beast who's been wrecking your life for hours, the rush is like nothing else. It's pure euphoria. Plus, let's not forget the grotesquely beautiful design of the world and its inhabitants. Both a nightmare and a masterpiece. Ready to test your skills against ancient demons? Let's dive into Nioh 2. Number 5 is the samurai action game, Nioh 2. With complex combat mechanics and brutal enemies, Nioh 2 demands mastery of weapon techniques and timing to survive. I mean, picture yourself as a samurai in ancient Japan, wielding an array of deadly weapons while yokai, those terrifying demons, are trying to turn you into sushi. Samurai sword fighting sounds cool until you're getting pummeled every 5 minutes. Trust me, the number of times I've been one-shotted by some yokai I didn't even see coming. Well, let's just say my controllers have seen better days. You think you're doing well, slicing through enemies like a hot knife through butter, and then bam, out of nowhere, a giant demon slams you into the ground. And don't even get me started on the bosses. Each one is like a mini exam on combat mechanics. You can't just button mash your way through. You need to time your attacks perfectly, switch stances mid-battle, and know when to dodge or block. It's like playing chess, but with more screaming and fewer pawns. One time, I spent hours trying to beat this one boss. I had my strategy all planned out. Hit and run tactics, perfect parries, everything. But every time I thought I had it figured out, that boss would pull some unexpected move and crush my hopes and dreams in an instant. It's brutal, but when you finally get that victory screen, worth every minute of frustration. From ancient Japan to the classic Demon Souls. At number 4, we have the iconic Demon's Souls remake, the original Souls game brought back to life with stunning visuals but the same relentless difficulty and unpredictable bosses. Imagine stepping into a world that looks like a medieval painting come to life, only to realize that every corner hides something that wants to kill you. And trust me, they will. It's as beautiful as it is deadly. The first time I walked through Boletaria, I couldn't help but admire the breathtaking scenery, right before a dragon roasted me alive. It's the kind of game where you can't let your guard down for a second. One moment you're marveling at the intricate details of a castle, the next, you're getting ambushed by a knight with a grudge. Pro tip, prepare to die. A lot. The first time I encountered the Tower Knight, I thought I was ready. Spoiler alert, I wasn't. That giant armor-clad behemoth stomped me into the ground faster than I could say checkpoint. And let's not even talk about the time I got obliterated by the Flame Lurker. I'm still having flashbacks. The remake doesn't just update the graphics, it keeps the soul-crushing difficulty intact. Each victory feels like you've climbed Everest without oxygen. The thrill of finally beating a boss after countless tries, there's nothing quite like it. Now let's take on a vast open world with Elden Ring. Number 3 is Elden Ring. This open world adventure from Software is packed with powerful enemies, tricky traps, and constant threats around every corner. I mean, imagine stepping into a sprawling landscape that's as breathtaking as it is deadly. You can't walk 10 steps without something trying to end your journey. It's like Dark Souls meets Breath of the Wild, but with more ways to die. Picture this, you're exploring a lush forest, the sun filtering through the trees, when suddenly a giant beast leaps out of nowhere and squashes you flat. One minute you're marveling at the scenery, the next you're frantically dodging attacks and praying you don't get turned into a pancake. The first time I wandered into one of those underground caverns, I thought I'd found a hidden treasure trove. Nope, just more things waiting to kill me. It's like the game has a sixth sense for when you're getting too comfortable and decides to throw a curveball your way. And let's talk about those boss fights. They're like epic showdowns ripped straight out of a mythological tale. Each one is a spectacle, demanding every ounce of your skill and patience. I remember facing off against one particularly nasty dragon. It was a battle of attrition, dodging fire breath and tail swipes, while trying to land a hit without getting charred. From hunting for secrets to hunting monsters, let's check out Monster Hunter World. Taking the second spot is Monster Hunter World. Hunting massive monsters requires strategy, coordination, and a deep understanding of each creature's patterns. Imagine stepping into a lush jungle, your breath fogging up your visor as you scan the horizon for any sign of movement. Suddenly, the ground trembles beneath your feet, and you hear that unmistakable roar. You know what's coming, a fire-breathing dragon that's about to make your life a living nightmare. Ever tried taking down a fire-breathing dragon? Spoiler, it's harder than it looks. I remember my first encounter with Rathalos. I had my best gear on, felt invincible. Then it swooped down from the sky, wings outstretched, flames erupting from its mouth. My first thought, I've got this. My second thought, oh no, I don't. You see, Monster Hunter World isn't just about swinging a sword and hoping for the best. It's about studying every move that creature makes. When it charges, when it retreats, when it decides to turn you into toast. One wrong step and you're done for. Trust me, there's nothing quite like dodging an attack only to get smacked by its tail seconds later. And don't even get me started on the team coordination required. You've got one guy setting traps, another laying down heavy artillery, while someone else tries to keep the beast distracted. It's chaos, beautiful, exhilarating chaos.
We're the ones to get it done.
And finally, we arrive at the hardest game of them all, Sekiro. And the top spot for the hardest game goes to Sekiro. Shadows Die Twice. This From Software masterpiece requires perfect timing, precision, and the nerves of a samurai to overcome its ruthless bosses and relentless enemies. Seriously, Sekiro doesn't just demand skill, it demands your soul. Picture this, you're a lone shinobi armed with nothing but a katana and a grappling hook, navigating a beautifully cruel world that wants you dead. The first time I faced Genichiro Ashina, I thought I had it all figured out. Spoiler alert, I didn't. He was relentless, like trying to fight a hurricane with a toothpick. Every slash flash of his blade was a lesson in humility. You think you've dodged his attack. Think again. He's got more phases than a lunar cycle, each one deadlier than the last. If you're looking for a game that demands perfection, Sekiro's got you covered. Prepare for pain, and maybe a few controller throwing moments. Trust me, the number of times I've had to take a break just to cool down is ridiculous. 1 minute you're executing flawless parries, the next you're staring at the "you died" screen for the 100th time. But let's be real, there's something incredibly satisfying about finally mastering that perfect deflect or pulling off an epic shinobi death blow. It's like hitting the sweet spot on a piñata, except instead of candy, you get, well, more enemies trying to kill you. So there you have it, the hardest game that will test every ounce of your gaming prowess and patience. From climbing challenges to fire-breathing dragons, these games push players to their limits. I've faced towering bosses, navigated treacherous landscapes, and had more game overs than I cared to admit. Each game tests all my skill and patience. If you're a glutton for punishment, like this video, comment with your hardest game experience, and subscribe for more gaming lists. I want to hear about the games that made you want to throw your controller or cheer in victory at 2 a.m. Thanks for watching, and remember, it's only a game until you're on your 50th try.